experiencing a once-in-a-lifetime change in work patterns. We're not going back to 2019. When work is increasingly happening anywhere, anytime, the employee experience needs to adapt accordingly.
Create Australia has seen a glimpse of what Viva Insights can do. We're really looking forward to what Viva Suite can do for us as an organisation.
We need to deliver a great associate experience so that they can deliver a great customer experience.
Viva is a game changer because it's really putting the information and the interactions in the hands of our people where they're living every day in a way that's flexible to adjust with the different lifestyles that our employees have.
My one word for Viva Connection would be indispensable. I mean, you just can't imagine your everyday work life without it.
Put your hands together and welcome to the stage Chief Operating Officer and Corporate Vice President, Experiences and Devices, Kirk Koenigsbauer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Any hockey fans? No? Seattle Kraken? No? All right, now we're talking. I'm sorry, Dallas. Dallas shouldn't have hockey anyway. It doesn't make sense down there. Welcome, of course, to the conference. Welcome to this Viva session. So excited to be here. So excited to see people, to see humans in person, in the wild. It is fantastic. Thank you for coming. We really greatly appreciate everyone coming, bringing this community together. Just so important. My name is Kirk Koenigsbauer. As the voice of God said, I have a few different responsibilities as a part of Microsoft 365. One of them is around leading the Viva effort. And so for today's session, we're going to talk a little bit about Viva. I'm going to give you an overview of sort of where we started, where we're from, a little bit of context. And then we're going to dig in probably 30 minutes or so of the time, 35 minutes or so, getting into some of the details of the roadmap for 2023, for this calendar year. So we'll get a little bit deeper and show you some of that stuff. And then at the end, one of the things we thought would be fun was to give you a sense, since Viva is relatively new, only about 18 months in market, of how inside of Microsoft internally, with our own IT department, we have rolled out Viva. Sort of a good, the bad, the ugly, the things that we've learned and how it's influenced the product roadmap. And so that's sort of the session that we'll talk about today. Of course, AI is going to be front and center in this dialogue, as you heard from Charles, as you heard from Jeff, as you heard from Rajesh. And so, that's certainly the case. One of the things that I thought I'd do that was sort of fun is, sometimes when I talk with customers, they're like, hey, how did you come up with this Viva name? Like, where did you get Viva? And I have to say, in all honesty, and given that a lot of the folks in this room I know came from the SharePoint world, I'm the person who famously named Microsoft Office SharePoint Server 2007 Service Pack 2. That is part of my lineage. And so coming up with Viva, I hope that there's some appreciation for the growth and development of the naming strategy for Viva. But anyway, I stuck in the prompt for ChatGPT, why did Microsoft choose Viva as the name of its employee experience platform? And this is what it spit out. And I got to tell you, it's pretty good. I won't read it all, but firstly, the name is derived from the Latin phrase viva voce, not bad. The platform aims to help employees feel more engaged, productive, and supported in their work. That's pretty good. And of course, it's short, easy to remember, and unique. Marketing 101, you gotta love it. And so anyway, I guess my speech is over. I should just go home at this point because this kind of sums the whole thing up. But in any case, let's jump in. Jeff talked a little bit about this. Charles talked a little bit about this. There's no question that the world has gone through incredible change. We're probably all sick of hearing that phrase, but it is true. Yeah, thank you. The whipsaw, though, I mean, I have to admit, the whipsaw is pretty wicked in the sense of we have been through quite a journey. When you think about it, just a few years back, everybody was sort of working in the office, and then very quickly, everybody was working remotely. And now we're struggling as we think about how to manage through this new hybrid work-based approach, which is creating a lot of challenges for people. Opportunities, but also challenges. Of course, we're also in uncertain economic times. We've gone from some pretty, boom type late 2020s in terms of growth at all cost to now a world that we live in where this phrase do more with less is very, very common. And there's a much, much higher focus on not just growth at all costs, but how do you drive great business outcomes? How do you drive profitability? How do you drive cash flow? There's just a much, much greater focus on the bottom line. And then, of course, the AI platform shift that's happening. And as Charles talked about, this is the biggest thing we've seen. It's just going to totally transform the world. That's creating opportunity, but it's also creating a sense of anxiety too. And all of these things are weighing on the employee experience of companies that are large and small, from the most senior leaders in the organization all the way through folks that are at the front line. And so it's a lot to navigate, and that's one of the reasons why we're so excited about this notion of having an employee experience platform. And so when we think about Veeva at the super high level, what we're trying to focus on is empowering organizations. And when we say organizations, we mean all people in the organization, leaders, managers, information workers, frontline workers, et cetera, to be able to continuously improve two things: their workforce engagement and their performance. This combination of engagement and performance is really important. It's really central to what we're trying to achieve. If you have just sort of a ruthless focus on efficiency and productivity, that obviously can be great as a driving factor, but it can also, it can deter teamwork. It can make people confused about mission, what's really the most important thing. It can stifle creativity. There's a lot of downsides of just a sort of exclusive focus on productivity. At the same time, there are downsides too on just an exclusive focus on sort of social cohesion and engagement. You've got to make sure the teams are, of course, working well together, but you have to be focused on driving business outcomes. And that's why we built Veeva, to enable a platform for organizations to be able to have both of these benefits as they drive their employee experience. And so the outcomes that we're trying to drive with Veeva itself are really coming down to three core things. One is helping organizations with their company strategy, with their mission, setting alignment, driving priorities. That's one core part of Veeva. Another core part of Veeva is around communications, helping organizations, not just with the basic, team-to-team kind of experiences, but how do leaders, how do managers, how do they interoperate, how do they communicate, how do they collaborate with their organizations in two-way, modern dialogues? How do they understand the sentiment of those communications? How are they landing inside of the organization? That's something that Veeva's focused on. And then lastly, the notion of data and measurement. And analytics is just so critical today. Being able to understand the sentiment of an organization, the pulse of an organization, understanding trends like, how is hybrid really working in my organization? Are people that are coming into the office 3 days a week more productive than folks that aren't? Those are the types of questions that Veeva can help organizations answer. And as I mentioned, it's a relatively new product suite. Veeva was launched in October of 2021. We started with 4 products. Veeva Insights, which is a core part of that data platform I was just referencing. A product called Connection, which was born out of the SharePoint world and is the front door, essentially, to Veeva itself and the employee experience. A product called Topics, which is in the knowledge management space. You'll learn a little bit more about that today. We've got a Veeva Learning product, which is essentially the front end to SharePoint content that lives in SharePoint, LMS content, other content sources built into Teams. And then since that initial launch, we've been on a run the last 18 months or so, releasing more and more value. And I won't talk about everything on this slide, but we bought a company, for example, called Ally.io. That company now has been rebranded Veeva Goals, built entirely on the Microsoft 365 and Azure platform, and that's our objectives and key results, or that way you drive mission alignment kind of approach. We are also introducing, or we've moved over, I should say, from the LinkedIn team, a product called Glint. Glint is an HR app for employee experience and engagement, basically running big surveys from the HR department. And we built a new product, a companion product to that called Veeva Pulse, which will be out soon. And that's sort of a bottoms-up, ad hoc oriented survey product. And those will work well together. Amplify, a great product coming out later this fall. Very excited about this, targeting corporate communications officers. And so folks that are trying to coordinate messages across organizations, whether they're SharePoint, what's showing up on a SharePoint site, what's coming out in Outlook, what's coming out across Teams, what's coming out across Yammer, or what we now call Veeva Engage. All of these experiences coordinated with Veeva Amplify. And then lastly, I will mention Engage. We have completely repivoted the Yammer team to focus on Veeva. And so we have built an experience called Veeva Engage. We're actually in the process of rebranding Yammer to Engage as a part of the Veeva family. And so hopefully this gives you a little bit of a sense of some of the things that have been going on. But all of these applications share some commonalities. One commonality is they're all built into Microsoft Teams. That's an important thing. We feel like to drive the most engagement, building these experiences into the flow of work is really, really important. I mean, what end user do you know wants to go to their sort of learning management system portal? That's just not something that people naturally do. But if we can build these kinds of experiences into the flow of work, into the places where people are already doing collaboration, communications, and productivity, that can really drive that engagement piece. Of course, Viva's also built on the Microsoft Graph. And that's very, very important in terms of leveraging all the data that's in your tenant, of course, in a compliant and private way. But it drives more relevancy, it drives better personalization, more customization of these kinds of experiences. And then lastly, of course, it's built on the Microsoft Enterprise Cloud. So Viva will inherit all the compliance, the security, the same management portal. It's all built into the Mac. That's the approach in terms of how we're thinking about the product. And then, of course, Copilot is big, and AI is going to totally transform not just the industry itself, but of course the employee experience space too. Just about 3 weeks ago, in mid-April, we announced that Copilot would be coming to Viva, Copilot in Microsoft Viva. And in the event that we did, this Viva Summit, basically we talked about Copilot showing up across all of these applications. And just like Charles talked about, when we think about Viva and Copilot and AI generally, we really are taking a strong principled view that this is about human augmentation. This is about helping people be hyper-efficient. We call it Copilot for a reason. It's not autopilot, it's Copilot. It's there to assist you, but ultimately you're fully in control, and that's a really core premise of how we think about the Copilot and AI capability that you're going to find in Viva. It'll do the kinds of things that you'd expect it to do. It'll help with summarization, it'll help with content generation, it'll help with analyzing and sentiment analysis and all these kinds of things. And so we're really, really excited about what AI can do in Viva, and you're going to learn more about that here today. And so with that, what I'd like to do is sort of set up the next part of the discussion, which is where we're going to go deep into all of these applications and give you a little bit of a sense of what's happening in 2023 in terms of our roadmap. Everything that we're talking about today will be shipping this calendar year, which is great. We're excited about it. We're going to walk through the content in basically 4 chunks to help keep it clean. One is this section that we're going to have called Purpose, where we'll talk about Viva goals and the work we're doing around mission alignment, setting company strategy, and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk about Connection. That gets that whole notion of communications, where you'll learn a little bit more about products like Viva Engage. You'll learn a little bit more about the Connections offering that we have. That'll be key. This growth pillar that we'll talk about, this is where we're going to talk a little bit about knowledge and development for employees, whether it's sort of formal learning, like in our Viva Learning product, or new novel ad hoc products like Viva Topics and Viva Answers to really drive community-based learning. So that'll be key. And then the last piece, we'll talk about the data platform that underpins all of this within Viva. That'll get to the discussion around Glint and Pulse, and then also our Viva Insights product. So we're going to have some folks from the product team come on up and talk about these. And I'm excited to announce Sharat will come on out now and get us started on the purpose pillar of Viva. Sharat, welcome.
Thanks, Kirk. Yep. Thank you, Kirk. Hey, folks. I'm Sharat Shroff, and I'm here to talk to you about Viva Goals. Viva Goals is Microsoft's goal management solution. Why goals? Because goals helps teams create focus, align on the strategic priorities, and drive towards those actionable outcomes. Viva Goals delivers this in 3 ways. First, it provides a single source of truth for all your organization's objectives. Second, it encourages alignment. And third, it connects the work that's being done to the outcomes that the organizations want. Let's go through each of these. So goals provides this one pane of glass where your entire organization can express their goals, their objectives. It doesn't matter whether it's at an organization level, department, division, or even an individual level. All of them can be expressed out here. This enables managers, leaders, employees to track the progress of the goals that's relevant to them, as well as their dependencies. This is your one-stop shop for anything that's goals-related. This is your single source of truth, no more silos. But it's all great to have all this on one pane of glass. What about awareness? What about easy access to goals? So we have now started showing goals in the Live People card. So click on a person's profile, and you will be able to see the goals that they're contributing towards, right there. Let's move to the second pillar, alignment. Every organization really cares about alignment, right? It ensures that all teams are rowing in the same direction and in synchronicity. And this view allows you to visualize this really easily. Alignment helps you ensure that you can easily, in this view, you can spot whether teams are out of alignment. Now, if you look at the employees who look at this view can track very easily the work that they're doing and how it accrues towards the overall organizational goals. Let's talk a little bit about connectors now. The Viva Goals team has created this system of, this ecosystem of connectors that connects all the work that's happening on different applications back to Viva Goals. What this enables is every employee has told us repeatedly that this connection between the work that they're doing on a day-to-day basis and the outcomes that they're aspiring towards, the teams are aspiring towards, gives them a sense of purpose. It creates, it motivates them, right? And so Viva Goals has ended up building a lot of connectors, everything from Power BI that you can see behind me, all the way to a host of other applications that you can see here. We'll continue building these connectors to every application where work gets managed and tracked. Now, it's all good to talk about these three pillars. Let's touch a little bit on how we author and create these goals. You know, creating of goals, all of us have goals. All of us want to create really clear goals and aspire to have well-articulated goals. But that's tough. It's not that easy. We are often asking ourselves, is this at the right altitude? Do I have the right goals? Am I covering the right set of things? So we aspire to go beyond just providing you with a form and a step-by-step guide. And instead, we decided to add some magic to it. We created Copilot in Viva Goals. Now, all you need to do is, if you have a planning document, a strategy document in Microsoft Word, just feed it to Copilot. It'll scan through your document and suggest goals for you. If you want to make it more aspirational, just ask Copilot to make it more aspirational. You want to add a set of goals around life site, engagement, ask Copilot. That's it. It's that simple. For those of you who have goals that is all well-formatted and it's well-structured in Microsoft Excel, we've got you covered as well. You can just use our import functionality and all of that gets sucked into Viva Goals. Now, we all know that writing goals is only one part of the equation, right? We all know that a goals is only as good as the updates that are being made towards it. So we decided to use Copilot here as well. You can ask Copilot to make an update on your behalf, and Copilot will very quickly, in seconds, generate an update for you. You can look at that update and decide if it's relevant. You can edit it right there in line and submit it and be on your way. So creating goals, updating these goals, is a highly collaborative. It's a highly collaborative activity which requires multiple people to come in. It's a team sport. So we need to be where the teams are at. So we have now deeply embedded Viva Goals into Microsoft Teams. Not only do you get a full-fledged application of Viva Goals and Teams, but you can pin your favorite goal views into channels. You can take the rich embedded views and put it in your conversation with people. Another thing that leaders do to communicate and collaborate is they send out updates to their teams. And when they do send out updates, they like to keep the teams informed on the progress. So we built a simple broadcast functionality right there within Viva Goals. A leader can go in there, very quickly author an update, append the views that's relevant, and right there, it gets delivered and notified to all employees. And it shows up in their inboxes as well. Employees can react to it, respond to it, and leaders get that feedback, creating that virtuous collaborative loop. Now comes to probably one of my favorite features that I'm about to present. I'm sure all of you in this room have been at a point where you've made a presentation and you're updating your leadership or your management or your group on the progress that you're making. You all have spent countless of hours modifying, copy-pasting, making sure the tables are just right and showing that in PowerPoint. Now all of this is reduced to just 2 clicks. Export to PowerPoint. That's it. Yeah, bring it on. I know this feature alone saves you all a lot of time. Anyways, jokes aside, folks, coming back, bringing us back home, I want to touch upon a set of features that is coming soon. First, I would ask you folks to pull out your phones and point it at the QR code. You will get a detailed list of all features that Viva Goals has planned for the coming months. There are many of them there. So I won't go through all of them. I'll touch upon a few important ones. We talked about Copilot. So we're going to make sure that Copilot is also your conversational assistant throughout your goals lifecycle. So it can assist you throughout your entire goals journey. We are, of course, going to build a lot of connectors, but probably the thing that's worth highlighting is we're going to make our APIs public so that all of you can connect Viva Goals to your internal applications and pull information from there back into this Viva Goals and this dashboards. And finally, last but not the least, we are making it easy for everyone to be able to access and onboard onto Viva Goals. You've got dashboard templates, self-serve trials, and an easy onboarding experience. With that, I am going to hand it to Dan, who's going to talk to you a little more about Connection Pillar. Dan, come on board. Hey.
Hey there, thank you so much. Hey everybody, it's great to be here. Connection matters. When you connect everyone, executive leaders, people managers, information workers, and frontline workers, you can communicate more effectively and you can engage employees. And the data is crystal clear. Highly engaged employees drive better financial and organizational performance. Employee engagement is what turns the potential of your people into performance against the purpose that Sharat just talked about. And Viva gives you the tools you need to build connectedness, to engage leaders and employees, and to communicate and modernize communications across your organization. It's my pleasure to share with you these capabilities today, representing the work of hundreds of engineers who've been spending the last years talking with you and our customers. Let's start with Viva Connections. Viva Connections is the front door to your employee experience. It connects employees to news and information, tasks, and tools. Now, for decades, customers have been building intranet portals to serve this purpose. I don't suppose there are any SharePoint people in the house? Okay, you know what I mean. At Microsoft, our portal is called MSW, and portals are really powerful, but they are a lot of work, particularly if you want to make a portal that's dynamic and tailored to the needs of specific employees, that's actionable, a place where people can get stuff done, and that's available across devices. Viva Connections does this hard work for you. It's a modern, lightweight experience integrated directly into Teams. It features your company's brand, look and feel, simple navigation to other Viva apps. There's an awesome dashboard where employees can take actions and complete tasks directly with cards that surface information from across Microsoft 365, Viva, and your custom applications. There are links that are targeted to employees, to sites on your organization's intranet, and to applications and resources across your digital estate. And there's a feed that brings together communications and content from across SharePoint, Viva Engage, and Microsoft 365. For those of you who have invested in an intranet portal, a home site built on SharePoint, it integrates automatically into Viva Connections. And for those of you who haven't, it's now easy to create this powerful gateway for your employees. The Viva Connections experience is integrated into Teams, into the flow of work, and it's available across devices. In fact, it looks fantastic on mobile. And it's also not a separate destination that you have to hope employees remember to visit. It's dynamic and tailored to employees with targeted links, cards, and feeds. And Viva Connections is actionable. You can get stuff done. As someone who spent over a decade talking to you at this event about intranet and communications, I think Viva Connections just rocks. Yeah, thank you. Give that team a hand. They're an amazing team, and we hope you're enjoying it. Next, I lost my heart to Viva Engage. Viva Engage is about connecting people, connecting leaders and employees across working groups, across business silos, across the organization, so you can build community, share knowledge and experience, and communicate and engage with employees at scale. Viva Engage is available in Teams like many other Viva apps. It's also integrated in Outlook, and it has standalone apps for web and mobile. And as many of you know, and Kirk mentioned earlier, we're rebranding Yammer to Viva Engage. No migration necessary. Your users will be seamlessly transitioned, and they will see familiar experiences as well as new features. So the first thing you see in Viva Engage is the home experience. The home experience is powered by AI to surface the most relevant announcements and discussions from across your organization so you can keep up with what matters and discover new conversations and connections. The content in the feed comes from communities and storylines, and Viva Engage is where you build communities. Communities bring people together across teams, across working groups to achieve common business objectives. For example, you can build communities that support job roles like this sales best practices community. Brings people together across teams to accelerate the transfer of knowledge and experience and best practices, and it also keeps that group of people, that role, on the same page. With communities, you can also achieve key business objectives like diversity, new employee onboarding, and innovation. And you can also foster inclusion and employee well-being with employee resource groups. Next, let's look at Storyline. Storyline is a new feature in Viva Engage. You can think of it like LinkedIn within your organization. Your Storyline is a place where you can share updates, perspective, and experiences with people and coworkers across your company. And Storyline is also a great place for leaders to reach and engage their employees at scale. Leaders like Karen, for example, can share experiences, thoughts, and vision, celebrate team milestones and accomplishments, and add their own perspective to business messaging. So Storyline is a great way to humanize leadership, and it gives communicators a new channel for the personal voice of the leader. When there's particularly important information to share, Storyline announcements can be sent to your employees and will reach them not only in Viva Engage, but wherever they work, across Teams and Outlook, for example. Your post can include engaging video and images. In fact, at Microsoft, every week, Jeff Teeper, who you all saw yesterday, shares a 5-minute video update that reaches thousands of people in his organization and across Microsoft, and he shares top-of-mind and business updates. Super powerful, modern way to keep employees in touch with what's going on in the organization. Yeah, I really like that too. So this post that you create, this announcement, looks great in your Storyline, but it also reaches your audiences where they are. It looks awesome in Outlook, where your announcement reaches your audience in your inbox, in their inboxes, and in Teams, where your announcement appears in the activity feed. Now let's turn our attention to another new experience in Viva Engage, Leadership Corner, which allows leaders to reach and engage employees, and employees to connect and engage with leaders. When you look at Leadership Corner, you are seeing a personalized view of your leaders. The feed aggregates leaders' posts across storylines and communities and gives you new ways to engage with leaders like social campaigns and Ask Me Anything events, or AMAs. AMAs in Viva Engage are very much like AMAs on Reddit. They're question and answer events that can be open or moderated. People can submit questions and vote questions up that they want answered. So leaders can use AMAs as a way to listen and respond to employees and create clarity. Subject matter experts can use AMAs to share answers and knowledge. And you can hold AMAs in conjunction with a live meeting, use an AMA to collect questions in advance, or you can run an AMA asynchronously across a longer period of time to be inclusive of people in different time zones. Next, social campaigns, which spark engagement around business and cultural initiatives. The landing page for this giving campaign, for example, aggregates posts from across Viva Engage. Anyone can participate in the campaign. Anyone can participate in the campaign by using the campaign hashtag, giving campaign, from their storylines or communities. And analytics allow you to track progress towards engagement goals. You'll find advanced analytics throughout Viva Engage. The personal analytics let you understand how your posts are reaching and engaging people in your organization. And leaders and communicators are really excited about the audience analytics, which use advanced AI to give you privacy-protected insights into your audience, including sentiment and analysis, so you can get a feeling for what you can do to lean in and better engage or activate your employees. Viva Engage is all about connecting and sharing and communicating. And Copilot in Viva Engage will make that easier for everyone. Copilot will suggest ideas for what you can share. It will help you shape the post and the tone of your message so it lands well with your audience. It can help you make your post more engaging by suggesting media to include and even anticipating questions your audience might ask so you can proactively answer them in your post. Really amazing stuff. Now, of course, you're in control of what you share, and Copilot just makes everyone, gives everyone the ability to share and communicate more effectively. It will also help you understand your audience and their engagement by summarizing responses and giving you insights into how your posts are resonating with your audience. On behalf of our entire team, we're really excited for you to experience the new Viva Engage and to hear your feedback. Now let's turn our attention to Viva Amplify. Viva Amplify is a dream come true for communicators because it centralizes communication processes so you can create, manage, and measure effective communication campaigns and messaging that reaches people wherever they are, across Outlook, across Teams, across SharePoint, across Viva Engage and Viva Connections. In this example, we'll see how communicators at Relic Cloud can manage a campaign for employee benefits enrollment. Here on the campaign landing page, we see the collaborators, the workflows, and the messaging for the campaign. The campaign brief features details about the objectives of the campaign, audience segments you want to reach, key themes for campaign messaging, and channels utilized by the campaign. So as you collaborate with your team on this campaign, the campaign brief keeps people focused on achieving campaign objectives. Now you're ready to actually create beautiful, impactful content that can include rich formatting, engaging videos and images, and dynamic web parts. Your communications have never, ever looked better. Of course, one challenge is your audience is distributed across channels. Channels can include Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, Viva Engage, Communities, and Storylines. And Viva Amplify makes the work easy by automatically reformatting your message for each channel. For example, here we see in Outlook, the message flows in a single column, so it's optimized for email. We can also preview the message in SharePoint, in Teams, and how it will look in Communities and Storylines in Viva Engage. When you're ready to publish this communication, Viva Amplify supports your review workflows and approval flows and lets you schedule when the communication is going to go live. And then on the back side of the campaign, communicators live and breathe for analytics to help measure and improve communications. And Viva Amplify gives you those deep analytics for how your post is reaching and resonating with your audience, including sentiment analysis to help understand how different segments are responding more or less positively. And you can slice and dice these analytics based on things like location, job role, or level, for example. So we've covered a lot in these last few minutes about how you can build a connection with Viva Engage. Let's bring it together and talk about our roadmap. Viva Amplify, which we just saw, helps you orchestrate communications campaigns. It's the multi-channel communications tool I think communicators have been dreaming of. We've begun private preview with early customers, and we look forward to general availability later this year. Viva Connections is the front door to your employee experience, connecting people to the organization's works, resources and communication streams. And this June, just next month, we're going to address a top customer concern, a top customer request, which is you'll be able to create multiple targeted connections experiences for distinct employee groups in your organization, something I know many of you have been asking for a long time. Yeah, that deserves applause for that team, for sure. And Viva Engage is the modern social platform that connects people across the organization to build community and communicate and engage at scale. This summer, we'll be releasing Copilot for Viva Engage and new features for leaders and communicators, including awesome new experiences for sharing and communicating with video. Our product teams have sessions on each of these experiences during the conference, so please come see these apps working in live code, ask your questions, get your answers, and give us your feedback. On behalf of everyone on our teams, thank you so much. And now it's my pleasure to pass the baton to my friend and brain crush, the one and only Naomi Moneypenny.
Thank you so much. The amazing, amazing Dan Holm, right? Yeah. Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? You good? Yes? Are we learning something? Are we growing our skills and knowledge? Yes? Okay, I would need to hear some response all the way at the back there. I expect all of you, I can see every one of you, I promise. But being able to actually understand this and think about how we apply skills and knowledge in our everyday work. And this is one of those areas where Microsoft Viva really wants to help you. We want to help you to get the skills, the knowledge, grow your roles inside of your company, and of course your entire business as part of this. And so I'm really excited to be able to show you just a few things that we're doing in the learning and knowledge management space that will help to bring this all together and put you and the employee at the center of work. So first off, let's talk about learning. There's kind of a spectrum, if you will, with learning, right? There's kind of the formal end of it where I need to do compliance training. I need to have the things that I need every single day to make sure I actually have mission critical systems working. And then there's kind of another sort of area, really, that's kind of this ad hoc learning that Kirk mentioned earlier, which is really about experiential. It's about understanding knowledge, having it delivered to me in the flow of work. How do I make sure I have access to all the resources that I need? So first off, let's start here with that kind of formal learning and think about what are the innovations that we have for you here. So Viva Learning is your place. It is your front door in this organization to help make sure you have all of those learning assets that you need. And making sure with those learning assets that you have built in this case with bookmarks, you've got recommendations, being able to get all of that delivered to you directly inside of Microsoft Teams. Now, one of the great things that is coming soon is this ability to actually put together learning academies. And I'm really excited about this because this helps you with your role-based training. So, for example, at Microsoft, we use this in the sales organization where I can have all of the courses that I need, make sure that I have everything that upskills my employees as they onboard into the company, and all of the pieces that they need. So I have access to all that video training, a long list of courses, and all the things that I need to fulfill. But I can also stay on top of my learning, make sure that I've completed everything that I need, and then get recommendations as part of that too. Really exciting to be able to bring this to you. Sound good? Yes? Yeah? Okay. Right. A couple other things that I want to show you here. Now, within that experience, we want to make sure that we're delivering knowledge in the flow of work. And of course, this was really accomplished with Viva Topics. Viva Topics is helping to aggregate and organize all of the knowledge inside of your organization. So think about all of that content you have, that entire corporate corpus, and how we're bringing that content together, and then using AI essentially to take that first cut. And then here, I might be in Viva Engage in this case, right? With Viva Engage, I get to see some posts, I get some great communities in here, and I want to understand a little bit more about this particular area. So I see this topic card right here on the screen. And this topic card is helping to deliver that knowledge in the flow of work. I can quickly see, these are the acronyms for this, if I'm not familiar with this area. I get to see the definitions that are part of this. I get to see the related people and resources and understand why those things are connected. Helps me to bring that context of the moment when the greater context of the organizational knowledge. And so being able to have this directly inside of what I'm doing becomes even more powerful when we bring you this new expanded view here. So this card not only just shows me some of those resources, but now I get this expanded view that brings all of my corporate resources directly into that knowledge experience. I am so excited about this because it really helps me to get all of the knowledge I need right there in the flow of work, and then I can even take that next step. We want to make sure that you don't have FOMO, right? We want to make sure that you understand what topics is going on and understand the activity that's in that particular area. And so now we're bringing together the questions and answers, the Teams mentions, all of that information that you have on the topic so you can get it directly in those experiences, whether it's inside of Teams, inside of Outlook, as Engage as I've shown here, or inside of SharePoint as well. Exciting stuff, right? Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of other things. Now, knowledge is one of those areas that's hard to quantify. Like, what are those benefits and how do I think about this? And so we're bringing together some new dashboards here that help you to understand the usage and adoption directly from your organization. We are empowering you as knowledge managers, being able to understand how people are consuming topics, how the people inside of your organization are actually contributing and crowdsourcing that knowledge directly in here. And then we're also bringing together an adoption health dashboard. And that adoption health will really help me to understand how we put all of this work together with recommendations that are customized for your company based on the early adopters program we have at Microsoft and the learnings we've had from multiple customers. We're really excited about this because we want to be able to show you how topics are being used in your organization, being able to have that knowledge across your entire organization, and then make it really real about how you can improve adoption directly here. So exciting stuff to be able to see this, how things are being utilized, how things are available, and really bringing it to life for everyone. So I'm really, really pumped about this one. Thank you. I'm going to get you more excited, obviously. I know it's early in the morning, folks, still. All good. All right. Knowledge comes in lots of different languages. Whose language is not native English? First language is not native English. All right, lots of hands up. All right, so this is for you all, right, in this case. Knowledge is authored in lots of places. It's authored in lots of languages. And we also want to empower you as subject matter experts to make sure that you're able to understand all of these pieces. And so with this, we're able to help you curate all of this knowledge directly into the flow of work, help subject matter experts bring it together, and then understand as part of this how I can deliver that knowledge in the language that you prefer. Now, wouldn't it be amazing if I could have all of this collected knowledge and then be able to ask questions of it? So with that, let me introduce Answers in Viva. It's our newest service. It just GA'd in February, and we want to make sure in this case that we're actually helping to understand all of the questions that have gone on before inside of your organization, and then be able to reuse that knowledge directly here. And so being able to have all those questions and answers means I get to ask questions, I get to ask the questions of the experts that are already linked to those topics that we've identified, and then be able to use AI to match up different areas too. Now, of course, we want to give you analytics as part of this too, right? We always want this as a big ask for us. So analytics in this case with Answers helps you as an admin to be able to understand what are the questions that are getting the most responses inside of the organization and understand kind of that top of mind, if you will, across everything we have for Answers. Now, a couple other areas, of course, wouldn't be able to go without mentioning Copilot inside of topics and understanding how we're doing this for the growth area. So on this little card that we have here, we have a new Copilot experience coming in. I am pumped about this because now we get to ask all of those questions about a topic. Maybe the questions even that I'm not able to ask an expert directly, or perhaps it's something that I'm embarrassed to be able to do. So one of those areas here is to be able to ask Copilot, how is the work that I'm doing connected to this particular topic? I get that context, I get that grounding inside of my organization. Then I can even find like who else in my team could be available to talk about this, be able to understand the skill set of others inside of the organization, and be able to mobilize that directly in this Copilot experience too. Now, lastly, we're bringing Copilot into Answers as well. And this is really about the art of asking the great question, right? A lot of things we do in our business life is about asking that question and then making sure that we are able to do that in a great way to engage people. So the Copilot experience in Answers will really help us with that too. Now, I have covered a lot of stuff here. There's a QR code to help you understand a lot of these features here, but there's a couple things I'll just mention really quickly. Our job here is to make sure that you have all of the resources you need for skills, growth, and knowledge, and make sure all of those pieces come to you. We want to bring in AI and enhanced experiences in a great way that help you to understand a little bit more, but we also want to make sure that we have people as part of that loop. It's an important area as we think about how we grow our knowledge and our skill set and how we're best balancing between people and AI. And then, of course, we want faster time to value, don't we all, right? So make sure that you're able to see perhaps the learning reporting, understand how we're doing things around Answers and engage, and then also bringing in those business value metrics that I mentioned. With that, I hope that was great. I hope that was understandable for you all. There's a lot of great stuff that's happening inside of the growth area in particular here. And then make sure that we're actually understanding how you can grow your skills and resources, your roles. You all are learning here this week. I hope to bring that directly back into your organizations with all of the goodness that we're doing in the growth area. Thank you so much. And now I get the pleasure of bringing up my colleague and friend, Quentin Mackey, who's going to talk to us about the insights area. And he, of course, Quentin, you are a man who has his pulse on Viva. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Naomi. My name is Quentin Mackey, and I'm here to give you a tour of the Viva Insights area, which is all about helping organizations measure employee engagement and drive action with rich workplace analytics. Let's start with Viva Insights. Insights uses behavioral collaboration data based on everyday work in M365 to reveal organizational work patterns. You can combine this with third-party data from a CRM or HRS to make more data-driven decisions and improve organizational efficiency. Viva Insights sits in your trust boundaries with privacy safeguards and protections for individuals, and you're always in control of your data. Now let's walk through a few examples of how companies are using Viva Insights to make decisions about improving performance. Let's start with hybrid work. The return to the office has been a tug-of-war for many organizations. Viva Insights provides hybrid work experience dashboards where you can see trends across hybrid, on-site, and remote employees, and how hybrid impacts employees' connectivity, sense of belonging, in this example, by network size over 3 months. The VP of Technology at Finastra used Viva Insights to understand the impact of the hybrid transition on their employees as they were redefining the workplace to attract talent, to improve the workplace culture, and to improve employee engagement. Time is scarce, and once it's gone, you can never get it back. And this is a struggle we have here at Microsoft as well. I'm sure many of you have the same challenges in your organization. Meeting hygiene is important and a great way to reclaim time for the organization. With Viva Insight provides a dashboard where leaders can see meeting duration, attendee counts, and total cost of meetings. Based on these analytics, recommended actions are given that the leader can take. The CEO at SES took the same approach by identifying expensive and inefficient meeting practices and rolled out No Meeting Wednesday program. Their efforts helped them unlock thousands of hours of capacity across the organization, and more than 70% of the employees in this transition effort reported significant improvement in productivity as a result of it. A top insights use cases implemented by many of our customers is bringing third-party data to combine with behavioral data to understand the patterns to unlock productivity. One way is bringing in CRM data into Insights. In this example, a sales leader can see how the sales team is spending their time, like collaboration hours across these accounts. And manager one-on-time, how it helps in closing deals. Also, what behaviors top performers regularly do that can be best practices for them to implement across the sales teams. At Lumen, they used Viva Insights to put real-time information into the hands of their sales leadership. They use these insights to uncover and replicate the best practices of their top performers, provide effective manager coaching, and drive sales excellence by improving productivity and well-being. Now let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about employee engagement. We are really excited to Glint is coming to Viva this summer. Viva Glint delivers immediate visibility into employee engagement with org-wide surveys and recommended actions to help people be more engaged and successful at work. It is critical for leaders to receive direct feedback and direct actions for improvement. With Glint, every leader can see their own personalized dashboard showing key results for their organization, including response rates, overall engagement score, as well as AI-driven sentiment summaries and trending topics. For this leader, prioritization score for their org is low, below the company average, and as you can see, it's been decreasing over time. This leader has over 900 comments, which they'll get to, but with AI, all comments around prioritizations are synthesized into themes with keywords for a recap. Now, the leader has a good idea on the summary of the comments, and with Glint Copilot, a leader can ask questions using natural language to get deeper insights. For example, you can ask Copilot to summarize what is the lowest scoring team saying about prioritization. We see marketing has the lowest score and is unsure what they should prioritize day by day. But this is a global team. So the leader wants to know what is the North America team saying about prioritization and ask Copilot. They mentioned the need for greater resources and infrastructure. Now the leader is armed with this knowledge. Let's look at manager one-on-ones and how they can help. With Glint, now in Viva, we are able to blend sentiment data with the behavioral data from Insights, and we see that favorable respondents have 1.8 times more manager one-on-one time than unfavorable respondents. Diving deeper into manager one-on-one time, the blending of the sentiment data from Glint and the behavioral data from Insights gives this leader a unique understanding how these two data sets are trending over time. Also, there's a prioritization and manager one-on-one time breakdown that can be filtered by location, department, function, or team. We can see where marketing is on the manager one-on-one breakdown compared to other teams as well. Now this leader is ready to take action. Here, based on the survey feedback from Glint, provides suggested actions that a leader can choose from and start driving with the team. We are really excited to bring these experiences to you. But before I go, here's our roadmap on what we plan to deliver this year. I want to point out a few things. Viva Glint and Viva Pulse will be in general availability this summer. Viva Insights, we will be expanding the library of templates and dashboards, and we will be making big investments in AI with Copilot, so with Viva Insights and Viva Glint, with conversational data analysis, and then with Viva Pulse, the facilitation of team conversations. Thank you for your time today. It was a pleasure giving you an overview of the Viva Insight Experience era. Now I'll bring it back to Kirk. I thought you didn't want to come back.
I wasn't going to leave you out here all by yourself. Don't you worry about it. All right, everybody, thanks. Thanks to Quentin, to Naomi, to Sharat, and to Dan for walking through all of the sessions there and giving you a little bit of sense of what's going on. We're going to transition a little bit to what I said at the outset, which is to take a little bit of time to walk you through how at Microsoft internally, with our IT department, we've been rolling out Microsoft Viva. And so I'd like to invite Keith out. Keith, why don't you come on out? And we're going to have a little discussion here. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So maybe for our first question,
yeah,
it would be great for you just to sort of set context with the group of the Microsoft environment. It's pretty big, it's pretty complicated, and of course there's all the dog fooding stuff. So maybe you can just give a quick update on what's cooking.
Yeah, it's probably no surprise to the folks here that Microsoft has one of the most complex IT environments in the world. We've got 200,000 or so employees, another 100,000 vendors. They're spread across 700 buildings in over 100 countries. And, you know, they're all fully hybrid, so it's incredibly complex. But, you know, to build on that and just kind of give you an idea of the scope and the scale of Microsoft, we manage over 650,000 devices. We have over 200,000 teams within the company, over 540,000 SharePoint sites, and over 90,000 Power Apps that we manage and govern. But that's not all. Every single day at Microsoft, we detect over 43 trillion security signals, right? These are attacks that are happening globally, and a lot of those are targeted at our own employees and our infrastructure. So you can imagine, we always have to be on our toes. It's incredibly complicated, but that's what gives us great insights to help improve our products, you know, as customer zero.
That's great. So it's big, it's complicated, lots of devices, lots of users, vendors, the whole enchilada.
You got it.
Great. Okay, so I hope that gives you a bit of a sense of the environment. Could you tell us a little bit about the early days of rolling out Viva? Sort of day one, how did it go? You know, what were some of the experiences that you had, and feedback to the product teams?
Yeah, so, you know, an employee experience platform was brand new for the industry, for us, and as a result of that, we had very little awareness of what it was, but there were some, you know, enthusiastic early adopters. It made for a classic change management challenge. What we were able to do is kind of dust off the playbook for Microsoft Teams, right? Go back to 2017 and just really learn from that last big, you know, change management project that we did. A lot of people still loved, you know, Skype for Business back in 2017. So breaking that muscle memory, getting them familiar with Teams was a challenge. So what did that mean? It meant great communications. It meant establishing a champions network globally. It meant having EVP and CVP level sponsors and chiefs of staff really modeling the right behaviors. And for us, because we've got employees in 100 plus countries, it meant local information sessions, right, where people could really sit down, ask questions of their IT counterparts to build awareness and desire for the product. It was also important for us at Microsoft to develop a strong relationship with our HR counterparts because, you know, Viva really represents the confluence of digital capabilities and culture. And as a result of that, we were able to really work closely with HR to do the change management as one Microsoft. And now, I mean, just reflecting back 18 months later, Viva is a huge part of what it means to be a Microsoft employee. Over 99% of employees use at least one Viva capability every month, and 70% use 3 or more. So we still have work to do to continue to introduce all these amazing new capabilities in the suite, but we've made some really good progress.
That's good. So tech challenges, of course, but lots of change management, lots of awareness work, and frankly, new partners to work with in the rollout itself, which is a key thing. So we started 18 months with the 4 apps, as we talked about. We've been launching, as you know, and we talked a little bit about today, a bunch of other apps. Tell us, like, how did it sort of evolve from there once we started to get a little bit deeper and a little bit broader in terms of the value prop?
Yeah, well, get back to change management for a minute. One of the things that we learned is that we couldn't take a one-size-fits-all approach. You contrast something like Viva Learning against something like Viva Goals. The idea of learning is pretty self-evident. Most of our employees got it, but Viva Goals, not only is it a new tool, it's a new philosophy, right? A lot of Microsoft employees weren't familiar with objectives and key results. So as a result of that, we really had to make sure that each module kind of had its own specific change profile and approach. It also was still really important for us to stay aligned with HR because, at Microsoft, we didn't want there to be any confusion. Each of us as employees, we have what we call core priorities, and HR needed to make sure that they understood what's the relationship between goals and core priorities so that we could stay on the same page. Another example is Viva Insights, looking at all these great insights we're getting as managers, but how does that overlay with our manager excellence framework, right? So I think that those relationships with HR really were important and continue to be. And then, another thing is that we found that, people can lose track of things. There's been so much goodness added to the suite that there was a little bit of change fatigue, right? People could miss something, even that's important to their role. So what we've really learned is that it's critical for us to reinforce those key messages. Make sure that it's not just 1 email or 2 even, 3, 4, 5, whatever it takes to make sure that people really get the message. And, we saw from Dan today, one of the things we're really excited about is that Viva Connections is now bringing it all together in one amazing home experience. It's stitches all of the goodness of Viva in one, application, one experience.
That's great. That's great. So you talked a little bit about change management, talked a little bit about end user experiences, the partnerships. Talk a little bit about sort of the core IT challenges from an admin perspective, management perspective, and rolling out the suite.
Yeah, and there were some. And in fact, 2 of my favorite capabilities, Viva Insights and Viva Learning, in that respect, were some of the most problematic in the early days, right? So I mentioned the fact that we've had employees in over 100 countries. And in some of those countries, especially in Europe and a few Asian countries, they have very strong works councils. I'm guessing some folks in this room have encountered those before. And for us to be able to deploy a new capability like Insights or like Learning, it required approval from those works councils. And if even one of those works councils in one of those countries said, no, we're not ready yet, that meant that we were blocked in the early days from deploying across an entire region. So if France said no, that meant no learning for all of Europe. So because the IT admin controls really didn't allow that level of granular control.
Level of control on a country basis. Yeah.
So we were able to report that back to our engineering counterparts, quickly took that as a real key addition to the suite, fixed those controls, and now we've got much more granular control. Another challenge for us is that the out-of-the-box telemetry, right? On day one, what we had to work with just wasn't that robust, right? We couldn't really tell how we were doing, driving adoption by geography, by business unit, and now the Microsoft 365 Admin Center has much, much better telemetry that we have access to. And then, one more, and this one's near and dear to my heart because one of my team's roles is to listen to all of our global employees looking for pain points. And something we heard really loud and clear right in the early days was the user experience for support and feedback and even navigation in the suite was not very consistent, right? You could have a different experience and insights than you might have within Learning, right? So we reported that again, really early on to the product group. They took it quite seriously. We created a shared bet to make those experiences more consistent. And now the suite, you can see that look and feel, that consistency is really there.
That's good. It's sort of like my performance review you just did on me. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
Glad Rajesh is already gone. So maybe one last question before we wrap up. So here we are today.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about going forward? What does the future look like in terms of the deployment internally at Microsoft?
Yeah, so I would just say that Viva is really now starting to take root, and it's become a key part of the daily fabric of our lives as Microsoft employees, which is something we're super proud of. And speaking of that, we're also really excited about all of the new modules and capabilities that you've been hearing about over these last few days. Amplify is going to help us to improve communications. We have hundreds of professional communicators at Microsoft. I think it's going to be an an incredible tool for them. Glint and Pulse are really going to help us to accelerate our cultural journey at the company, which is always kind of ongoing, moving forward. Storyline and Leadership Corner, we're already seeing evidence that our executives are taking advantage of those capabilities to create more engagement and more connection. And I don't know what else there is to say about Copilots other than the amazing capability that's coming to Viva. It's going to make us all more productive, more efficient, and get even more value from the suite. And the last thing, and I think this will resonate with any IT leader out there, is that we're going to be able to continue to retire a lot of legacy applications, legacy platforms, because we have such amazing employee experience capabilities now within Microsoft Viva. So it's going to help us to simplify things, save money, and simultaneously improve the employee experience of Microsoft.
That's great. So lots of change management ahead, but also lots of great opportunities.
That's it.
All right, sir. Hey, thanks a
All right,
lot.
thanks so much for
sharing
having me.
your views on how it's rolling out.
Thank you.
Great. All right, everybody. Well, just to wrap up, I want to just say thank you, everyone, for coming to this session. Thank you, of course, for coming to the conference itself. We're incredibly enthusiastic about what Viva has to bring to bear in terms of this notion of that performance equation, that productivity side and engagement. Both are going to be super important for everyone, and we're really investing big time in terms of rolling this value out. Lots of new stuff coming. I also wanted to thank this group in particular, too, for all the early feedback. You just heard from our internal Microsoft IT team, but I tell you, getting your insights at conferences like these through the roadmap. Please check out the roadmap depths. Give us the good, the bad, the ugly. We really want to have you helping us co-develop Microsoft Viva. It's just so important to us. And so again, thanks so much for the week coming here. We really appreciate everyone coming and appreciate your business at Microsoft. Thanks so much and have a good rest of the conference.